Okay guys, today I want to take you through some of the engineering tutorials for Dragster 2.0. At this point you should have completed the research, you should have completed the research quizzes, and you're ready to move on and design your car. So I'm going to jump ahead to my engineering tab here. And many of you may not have realized it in the Rocket, but every one of these white box challenges has a nice set of tutorials under the help here. Okay, and we're going to look at the Modeling 101, Modeling 1 tutorial. You'll see there's a whole list when you click on that drop down of the tutorials. And we're simply going to follow these steps. These are designed to introduce you to the critical design tools as you're working through the software. They're excellent tutorials. This particular one is solely focused on the wheels and the wheel positioning, where they're going to be. So what we're going to do is follow their sets. We're already in the engineering tab here. We're going to click on and make visible the refined solid. We'll show the front axle. We'll show the front wheels. We'll show the rear axle. We'll show the rear wheels. I also like to show the blank just so you see how this shape was derived. This is their design. This would be the one that you would end up modifying. This one actually is too long for our initial standards. We're just going to make some changes here to the wheels and the axles and see how these things interact. So we've turned all those visibility pieces on, and now we're going to look and modify some of the components here. So the first one that we're taking a look at are the front wheels themselves. So you're going to click on this wrench for the front wheel. So we'll do that right there. Okay, and it says we want to change our type to a premium outside front. So if you come over here where this says nitro, we're going to change that to a premium outside front wheel. Okay, notice that the information standards did change, as did the wheel over here. Make sure your wheel width is less than 5, because I believe that's what the TSA standard is. You see that your diameter fits your specifications. Make sure it's in that. You have a huge library of wheels to pick from. Most of them are legal to the TSA specs, but a few of them are not. So make sure you fall within the legal range there. After you've done that, you want to apply those changes. And now we're going to move on and look at the rear axle settings. So we'll click on the little wrench, and if you like, you can hide this. Just say you're done. We're going to click on the little wrench for rear axle here, and we're going to change the material of the rear axle. Instead of steel, we'll make that material to be Delrin. Okay. Now we can change the axle length right here based on the width of your standards, and so we're not doing that in this tutorial, but know that that's where you change your axle length. Don't forget to apply this when you're doing that change. Okay, then click done. Get that out of the way. Now we're going to look at the rear wheel bearing. Click this little wrench right here. We're going to change the material of our rear wheel bearing to be a laminated axle tube. Right now it's set as a plastic straw. That's often what we use in class. We're going to get a laminated axle tube, reduce some friction on our rear wheel there. Don't forget you need to apply that. And then you can say done there. And for the rear wheels, we're going to change those to be a premium inside rear wheel. Look at this library of wheels we have here. We want an inside rear right there. And so that's going to change that. Make sure that you have the minimum width with this wheel. And that you fit within the basic specs. Okay. Notice here they're pointing out that there's a possible problem. What's the problem with our particular wheel? Look at it carefully. Okay. You may not have noticed the problem, but I'm sure you read through there the problem. We put an inside wheel on here, which meant you could use this on a shell car. You could put it inside the body frame. Although these wheels, as it's designated out here, can be used outside of the vehicle, they do need to have a axle length that supports it, and our axles aren't long enough. So we're going to make that change to make our axles go long enough to fit within the car. So you come over here to rear axle, click on that little wrench right there, and you want to make your axle be 75 millimeters long. So you're going to change the width of the length of your axle right up here. Instead of 50, it's going to be 75. And then we need to apply that. So you go ahead and say apply right there. Okay, so the next step on the tutorial is to take a look around the car to rotate it. Use your interface here and look at it and make sure that you have the necessary clearances between the body and the wheel itself. Make sure nothing is rubbing in your design. So use these tools down here. I have the rotate tool on right here. You can rotate this around and get a look at the car from all angles there. So check that out. And then we're going to move on and look at our specification report. So when you have a basic design in place and you want to compare it against the actual specifications, we're going to generate a report. So first I'll clean this window up here and get rid of these. Here's our car. Now let's see, does it fit the specs? So we're going to display reports, and that's an output. This tab over here is outputs. So go ahead and click on the outputs tab. Okay, and now there's several different types of reports we can generate. We want to look at the design specifications. You go ahead and click on the design specs, and here's the list. Anything that is red is flagged as a failure. It's a violation that needs to be fixed. So look at your spec report. This compares it to the spec chart that I had earlier, and notice our car here is too long. And it's currently 294 millimeters, and we can only be 210 to 220. So that's a very important change you need to make. Make sure your car is within spec before you go and try to race your car, and you want to do that with the engineering reports. Okay. The other thing here is the front wheels and the body. They are not allowed. It's not a permissible design. So you have to make those changes in your design here. This is a very handy report, lets you know you're doing well or not. Other reports that can be generated, if we were building this, we could have some templates to actually print out and cut out, put on our blocks as we're building our car, and that's what some of these neat things here are. Anything that we're putting on a 3D printer, if we're 3D printing wheels, we can output the files to do that over in this area here. Okay, so that's tutorial number 1. Make sure you go through all the tutorials as you build and design your car. Go back and change make changes to keep your car legal.